we've got some new information about Snoke's backstory. Not so much anything information about it, but just the fact that it apparently exists. That Andy Serkis was given some backstory, and that Rian Johnson and JJ did have a plan and kind of know it. It's not like being totally just made up as they go kind of thing, which makes sense. Actors are usually given backstory so they can like internalize the character and act it out properly, I guess. But what I wonder is if maybe they did throw something together just to get Andy Serkis into the headspace for it, when really they have no intention of going forward with it, because he's been asked to not talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to touch it. I don't think they'd go into that in the final movie of the 9.
I could see them leaving it out.
I'd say they'll leave it.
Yeah.
Because if you really think back to the original 3 movies, 5 and 6, you didn't have any idea who the hell the Emperor was. He's just this big bad guy in a chair.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and we didn't know until
you didn't know anything about that
expanded universe started going.
They start revealing other information in the books and other stuff, and then they start doing the other movies.
The only argument you could really put there is that Star Wars wasn't the phenomenon it is now, with the fandom it has now. It was just a couple sequels to, a cool sci-fi movie. It wasn't, this 40-year span of theories and books and comics and all that. And I think the only people upset about Snoke really are the hardcore fans, or even just people who are more than casual fans,
I think Rian Johnson said something to the effect of, if you explain everything in a story, it's not a good story. I mean, if you tie up all your ends, and in the end of the movie, you've limited yourself creatively what you can do in the future. Future movies
especially
have to go by that movie, because that is now gospel. That is the way it is.
Especially a movie that is the middle of a trilogy. They could explain a bit of backstory, even just a couple lines in episode 9 of like where he came from, and then there's still mystery, but I don't know. There's a lot of things they could do for sure.
On that though, I think they could really expand if they want to get into it with the next animated series that they're working on. They could get into it there.
Could, I
mean, you've got, why can't I think of his name all of a sudden? Oh God.
Ezra, Ahsoka, Kanan, Luke.
Snoke. It's right there.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of Snoke's name. He's from the unknown region.
And Ezra flew out.
He was mentioned as,
theoretically,
in the expanded universe, I believe, which isn't a thing anymore, but No, it was the books that came out after the Star Wars movies.
That's a theory, because
it said Palpatine sensed something,
Dark Force
in
the unknown
monitoring from the unknown,
calling to him, basically. Yeah.
So he's from the unknown. You got Thrawn from the unknown region, who is now probably back in the unknown region with Ezra,
floating around
in
a hopefully well-stocked Star Destroyer.
You got the Snoke side of that going on.
That could be definitely an aspect of it, yeah. The same way the Emperor kind of popped into Rebels, you could have Snoke maybe pop into whatever they do next.
Because they did say, I believe at the end of the Battle of Yavin...
We're calling it here now. Ahsoka is Snoke. She falls to the dark side, transforms.
At the end of the Battle of Yavin, the Empire retreats to the unknown region, the remnants.
Yes, that's where they all run to.
And that's basically how Snoke runs into them.
Yeah, I'm reading the first book of the Empire's End trilogy. It's hard. It's not a good book. But the other two apparently are quite a bit better. So I'll get through it eventually and then have a bit more context there.
So then you could jumpstart your series in that region. Go to the unknown region. Mm-hmm. Or I guess they've got those trilogies that we don't know what's going on yet. You could easily touch on it there.
30-year period. I mean, it's a lot of time to play with. And it's a big galaxy. What he did mention definitively was that he's hundreds of years old. Which, I mean, you look at him, he looks pretty decrepit, but it means he's seen, well, we knew he kind of has seen the rise and fall of the Empire. So he's obviously at least 50 years old. Mm-hmm. But knowing he's hundreds of years old, it meant he possibly observed the kind of Jedi in their prime and a lot of the Old Republic type stuff. And,
well, because he's not true Sith.
Well, yeah,
he's just a dark Force
side
user.
Especially because the Sith were just 2. And so maybe he was and left the Sith Order. Like, who really knows? We don't know.
Somewhere he's had multiple apprentices?
there was a I think it's the art book or the art of the Force Awakens, maybe even, where it mentioned, I think it was actually talking about Kylo Ren, and it mentioned how Snoke, or maybe it was talking about Snoke. Either way, yeah, it did say in there just a little paragraph that said Kylo Ren was his apprentice, and he had at least one other apprentice.
Well, if you look at Snoke's face, I'd say he's been on the receiving end of a lightsaber at some point in his past.
I still think if they wanted to make him Plagueis, I would be on board. His one other apprentice was Sidious, and it just ties everything together so nicely.
I don't know if that would work now with that other whole, just the fact that they said Plagueis felt him.
Plagueis didn't? Sidious.
Sidious, sorry.
Sidious, yeah.
Sidious felt him out there, lurking in the unknown region, which is one of the reasons he wanted to map the unknown region.
Well, it could be he felt something familiar, you know? And that's how he felt it in the first place. I don't know. I still think it would be really compelling. Then again, I'm probably crazy, because I think that Snoke could come back. And that if he is Plagueis, and let's say the whole cheating death thing was possible, yeah, we saw him lying on the floor with his tongue basically touching the floor, but maybe after everyone kind of left the room. No, I don't know. I have no idea how that can work. But
I don't know how they would do that. I think that would be more of a TV show thing than something that you'd pull off in a big budget movie.
Yeah, you're probably right. He probably won't be back. I do want answers, though. And apparently, I mean, it seemed like Leia knew who he was in the first movie, because she's like, talking to Han. It's like, no, it was Snoke that pulled him to the dark side. The way maybe it was just the way it was acted out or whatever, but it just felt like Snoke was something everybody knew about. Even Luke seemed to really know who Snoke was, in The Last Jedi. So I wonder if they've had interactions with him over the past 30 years, if he'd been a prominent figure. Like, when did he actually take over the remnants of the Empire to create the First Order, and how long did it take for him to become he was more of a figurehead than he was a leader, I guess, in a lot of ways. Because he just told Hux what to do, and Hux kind of commanded the military.
He gave Hux the general gist of it.
Yeah, because Hux, apparently it was Hux's father that was initially running everything, or something like that, or he was high up in there, and then Hux, I think it was that Hux killed him. This is why I got to read these books, not talk out my ass.
There's so many books to read, though, and so much stuff to get into every time.
The novelization just came out for The Last Jedi, which I want to read. Apparently there's a lot of just really cool things that they expand upon in there. And of course, that movie, actually, does that movie come out this week on streaming services?
The Last Jedi.
And then I think the week after it's out on Blu-ray. I think it was book week, streaming services week, DVD week. So, we can do a viewing. That's probably enough Star Wars talk. Yeah. So, unless you have something else.
No, that's pretty much it. We can get on into our...
Oh, the one thing I had it here that kind of ties into whether or not they had backstory for Snoke. Do you think the 3 movies, the sequel trilogy, they had a plan for all 3? Or they just literally make one and then go back to the writing board, make another, go back to it again, make another? Because JJ had a script immediately after Last Jedi came out. And of course, he had access to Last Jedi's script early, so he would have known plot beats and all that.
I would say they have an overall plan. They've been doing the Marvel movies for a long time before they got into these.
Yeah.
They have a plan.
And they had a plan for that from
the first movie was set up to just hit all the nostalgia factors from the previous 4, 5, and 6. And that's why it basically was 4, 5, and 6 compressed into one.
Well, especially 4, yeah.
And then they wanted to go a little bit different, and they were very pleased, from what I heard, with the way Rian Johnson's movie was coming out.
Yeah, well, Disney's happy with it,
and I'm personally happy with it.
Yep.
It is a movie that when you were watching it the first time, it was hard to follow because you focused on certain points.
Yes, definitely. I was overwhelmed.
Watching it the second time was a lot better.
I wish we were doing this podcast back when it came out, because
be a lot more relevant.
It would have been a fun thing to just sit and talk and have recorded our first initial
thoughts,
impressions. Because
versus the second time,
much has changed in my head about it. Yeah,
but yeah, they had a plan.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they did as well, especially with JJ coming back to do the 9th. It was going to be Colin Trevorrow, I think his name was, and apparently that he just didn't have the same vision, I guess, that they did for that movie, and I wonder if it was something that he fought against in the beginning, like especially he wanted Luke basically in his movie still in 9, and there was, I guess, maybe just constant tension, and it got to the point where they couldn't carry on that relationship anymore. And I wonder if they actually let him go quite a while ago, but didn't want to announce it until after Last Jedi was
you don't
out.
want to generate any other press about the other movie. You want everything to be about that movie.
So I wonder, because it seemed like it was all Windfall that came down after The Last Jedi, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that was like 2 years ago. They already knew, okay, you're not going to be here for that. We're going to go in a different direction. Here's some shut up money for a little bit. And then, just announce things when they make sense to announce.
Yeah.
Get that hype train rolling.
I'm kind of interested to see how the next movie goes. I'm not sure how close J.J. Abrams will follow Rian Johnson's style. I don't think I think there's fairly different styles.
Almost at this point, I think we need another JJ movie to
need more lens flare,
refresh, but just to clear your palate, because The Last Jedi was it was a lot of flavor in a lot of different directions, and you didn't. It needs a conclusion, I think, is really what it was.
More of something tying everything together.
Yeah, exactly, and I think JJ is good at doing that, just bringing it all. Making it feel good, leaving you feeling Star Wars. Kind of the way The Force Awakens did. But still leave off, he's got the same philosophy, I think, that, was it his, where he said, there should be questions. You should have unanswered things, but still within the story itself.
Yeah, if everything is tied off clean all the time, you have nowhere to go with your imagination.
It's like learning too much about the Force. If you start to learn, it's midichlorians, they're in your cells and they have this little property where they do this, and
just leave that.
It's not actually telekinesis. They just send out nano midichlorians and lift the thing for you.
We don't need to know that.
No, exactly. That might just ruin the whole, mythos of it all. Leave it out.